Okay, so a lot of you have probably figured this out by now by all the Nebraska flags and the Husker stuff that I have all over my room. But I am from Omaha, Nebraska. And for those of you that don't know where that is, Nebraska is a state in the United States that's located right in the middle of the United States, which is in the middle part of it, which is basically called the Midwest. What the Midwest is, it's comprised of a whole bunch of states that are in the middle western part of America. Okay? Boom! And as you could probably imagine, being a YouTuber that lives in Nebraska has some roadblocks. One pretty not so lucky factor is the weather in Nebraska and the Midwest in general is very, very crappy. And it's very inconsistent. Just yesterday, for example, we had a 75-degree spring day. And today it is now 40 degrees and rainy. That all happened within a span of less than 24 hours. So you can't really plan things like outside videos and outside shoots because you never really know if that day is gonna be nice and perfect for your camera to go outside. And the number one thing, in my opinion, that is really hard for me as a YouTuber in Nebraska, it's very hard to collaborate with people because, as you may know, living in Nebraska, there are not a lot of other fellow YouTubers around, which means it's hard for me to meet local people and, do things like collaborations to help grow each other's audience. And if there are YouTubers in Nebraska that I find, our channels just aren't able to collaborate because our niches don't mix together. Another big con for most people's, but not me because I don't enjoy nightlife anyway, is in Nebraska, there really is no nightlife. As a matter of fact, when it hits about 9:30, 10 o'clock, Omaha, which is the biggest city in Nebraska, pretty much shuts down for the rest of the night. Unless it's Friday or Saturday or possibly Sunday and you're in the downtown area, then it probably stays open a little bit later till maybe 2 a.m., 2:30 to 3. But Nebraska is not very big on like big extravagant nightlives like a lot of other major cities are in the US. However, there are some pros to living in Nebraska, even just living there and also being a YouTuber. Number one is the traffic here is very, very minimal. Even with heavy traffic, you can get from point A to point B anywhere around the city of Omaha within 15 minutes. And that's just something that you don't see in other places. Our airport in Nebraska, especially in Omaha, Nebraska, is called Eppley Airfield. It is actually the biggest airport in Nebraska, but here's the kicker. It is so small compared to pretty much every other major airport in the entire world. In Nebraska, we have about, like 15 gates total. So naturally, our airports aren't going to be very busy because there's not going to be a lot of people from out of states or out of the world to even want to come travel to Nebraska. It's just not something that a lot of people think about unless you're a part of a company that's based in the Midwest, in which case we do get some people like that sometimes. But for the most part, the airports are pretty much always the opposite of busy. You can get to the airport 15 minutes prior to your boarding time and still be there in time to even board the plane because Nebraska is just awesome like that. And I think one of the best things about living in Nebraska are its people. The people in Nebraska are very, very nice, for the most part, nice and amazing people. We have a football stadium called Memorial Stadium, and it's for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. It's the only thing that we have sports-wise in Nebraska. It's a college football team, and it's kind of everybody's big deal in Nebraska because it's all we have. We don't have an NBA team, we don't have an MLB team, we don't have an NFL team. We just have Nebraska football. And if you ever make a trip down to Memorial Stadium, you'll see that the people there are very, very nice. We are very welcoming, heartwarming people, heartwarming fans that just love football. And we actually have a title known as the NCAA's greatest fans in college football. And in my opinion, I'm probably a little bit biased, but also the greatest fans in all of the world. So being a YouTuber in Nebraska definitely has roadblocks. Some of them being there aren't as many extravagant nightlife things to do in Nebraska. There isn't a lot of things that you can go see. We do have a zoo, which is actually ranked like one of the world's best zoos in the entire world. Another thing that can be tough for me being a YouTuber in Nebraska is the fact that there aren't that many other YouTubers that I have met in Nebraska. It's kind of a small thing, and if there are, they're probably like little kids, which is awesome. If you're watching this and you're a little kid and you're making a YouTube channel, good job. But if there are YouTubers in Nebraska, it's very hard for me to collaborate with them just because there's not a wide variety of channel platforms and channel demographics in Nebraska. Now, for those of you that are wondering, would I leave Nebraska? Probably not. I love Nebraska, but there is one place that I would probably go and spend a lot of time in, and that is the city of Minnesota. I went there and visited a friend of mine who lives in Minnesota, and that place is like Nebraska, like 3.0. So it's still in the Midwest. You still have that Midwest vibe, but it's more of an urbanized city. There's a lot more things to do in Minnesota. For the most part, throughout the week, the city doesn't die at 9:30 to 10. But anyway, that's all the time I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you're watching this and you're from Nebraska and you're thinking about giving YouTube a shot, feel free to do it so that I'm not one of the only ones that I know of. That would be awesome. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.